Hey, it's time for point and shoot. This week we take a look at some shots that are looking to cool you off. We basically wanted folks to chill out this week. It's been a hot summer. Let's show some chilled out shots, if you will. Also, we look at some of the cloud photo services such as Google Photos and also Flickr. And then we take a look at one little problem that I had with Google Photos. What was Google doing, or was it something I was doing? Let's check it out.
Good evening, folks. We are live. This is the Smartphone Photographers Hangout on Air that we get together weekly, and we like to call this Point and Shoot. Tonight, we've got three people in our panel. Myself, Mr. Joey Kelly, Mr. Ant Pruitt, our group owner, and our esteemed group moderator, Mr. Michael King. How are you gentlemen doing tonight?
What's going on, man?
Doing pretty good. Hot, but good.
Yeah, if we were just talking about this in the pre-show. Mr. King is down in the great state or nation, depending on who you talk to, of Texas, and apparently they are about ready to be able to boil water in the city streets. Not for any reason, just literally drop water on the sidewalk and boom, it starts to boil. So we'll hopefully he'll get back to us after the apocalypse, and we'll still be able to do some hangouts.
Hey, no joke. We put a frying pan outside and put it on in the sun. A few minutes later, get it real hot. A few minutes later, we actually fried an egg.
That's it, folks. Live from Texas, hot enough to fry an egg on the sidewalk. You always thought that was a cliche. And how are things down in the deep southern bayou where you live, Mr. Ant?
Well, I'm not in the bayou. I'm down in the Carolinas. And yes, it is hot as heck here too, but everything is unbelievable, my man.
Well, as usual, being up here in the great state of Maine, I get the award for being the coldest. The low they're calling tonight is for a low of 56 degrees. So that's actually, yes, I know, Mike. Yes, I know. Yeah. But that's actually unseasonably cold for us. Normally this time of year, we wouldn't crest below about 60, 62. So we're actually unseasonably cold for once, which is weird. Anyway, so we have a great challenge this week called Keeping It Cool, and this was picked by our good friend and community member Luke, and I'm going to butcher your last name because I haven't had any coaching on it. Freebazar.
Close enough.
Something like that. Apologize, Luke. I know I'm butchering that. And he won our challenge last week, and therefore he got to pick the challenge for this week. And the challenge reads as follows. Have some fun with this. Think about the things we discuss each week on air for tips on how to capture these cool shots. Macro is preferred but not required. 3-shot maximum. Please include your phone information as well as your thoughts on how you captured and processed the photo, et cetera, et cetera. And the quote from Luke was, "Stuff that keep you cool in this summer heat, but the point of the whole ordeal would be to have photos of condense, chill, and frost, preferably macro." Now, what that means to me personally, is that we're looking for preferably macro shots of really tight in shots of condensation on the outside of water bottles or on glasses or something along those lines, along with maybe melting ice, and it would be a very tight in shot. That's what I feel that what that description means. Now, for the exact opposite, Mr. Ant, what did you think?
No. I do not disagree with you. It does make sense to have something to include condensation, especially since he actually said the word condensed in there. I had my own ideas. Execution was poor. That's all I can say.
Well, we all know that no one goes away from one of these photo challenges, including myself, without learning something. So that's the whole entire point of doing this. I mean, if we were all perfect photographers, which reminds me, Sweeney's not here tonight. But there's your jive at Sweeney, even in absentia.
Yeah, just wait. He'll be here in a few minutes. Watch.
Oh, probably will be. Then it'll rag me out on that one. But if we were all perfect photographers, there wouldn't be any room to grow. And I'll tell you, I have got some books and some audio work from various photographers around there, and you know what? They always talk about what they did wrong on their images, and I look at it and I go, there is nothing wrong with this. So there we go. What were you going to say, Mike King?
Well, there's still the missing Portis and his 16:9 shots.
He's still around. I check in on him every now and then. He's still doing this thing.
I know he's real kind of busy until fall time, when it gets fall again. But yeah, we got the missing Portis. So two of the mics are not here: the Sweeney and the Portis.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Oh well, we'll just have to swing into something besides that. So, Mike, do you have anything you want to bring up before we get into the challenge, or you, Ant?
No, I'd rather go ahead and get into the challenge before we get into discussions.
All right, let's do that.
You just let me know which pick you want to display first.
Well, let's start with one that I feel is probably the most interesting shot, but in my opinion does not quite get the spirit of the shot, and that would be yours, Mr. Ant. Sorry, I hate to pick on you.
Yeah, all good. It's fair game, brother.
Yeah. Now, this is a really, really nice shot. I want to say that first of all. I like the fact that you used a desktop editor and just used the smartphone as a camera for this shot. That's kind of it's a good use of the tools that you got. One thing I'm not sure about is, did you blur it intentionally, or was that part of the editing, or did that just happen?
It's a combination of both, actually. I had to shoot this last night in the dark, which gives you a bunch of challenges right there. And I had to use the Camera FV5 app so I could get a slower shutter speed. And of course, as I've mentioned to you before, the Nexus 6, you can only go up to half a second on shutter speed, as far as slowing it down. And that's really not slow enough for this particular shot. So that meant I had to adjust the ISO. And as you all know, if you bump the ISO up too much and you move in a hair, you're going to get a bunch of blur and a bunch of noise on it. So I had a little bit of that fighting against me. But then in the post editing, what I was attempting to do was not only make this as blue as I could possibly, and I wanted to try to play around with the shadows and the highlights to where it looked sort of icy with some of the extra light that was shining in from the top of the building. And my last intent was to put what do you call it, a vignette on there, but not a black vignette, something like a that white vignette that you see in glamour shots. I wanted to try that to see if I could pull it off to make it look a little frosty, if you will. Because I'm outside on the pool and it's freaking hot down here, and nothing cools you off faster than a pool. But at the same time, I wanted it to look cold. I wanted to have some type of condensation and just a chill look to it. But I couldn't pull it off. That's something I can try another day. But I tried.
Give you an A for effort, with no issue there. But out of curiosity, I want to jump backwards a little bit on the technical explanation you gave there. You said you bumped up the ISO and you got blur?
Got grain.
Got grain. Okay, all right. Yeah, because you said blur and grain, and I just want to make that distinction. When you bump up the ISO on a digital camera, or in a film camera for that matter, you traditionally get grain, but that does allow you to potentially get a snap shot with a shorter exposure time at the expense of having the grain. Those of us that do a lot of night photography with digital SLRs, we attempt to shoot with the lowest ISO possible and the highest f-stops possible to get the greatest depth of field and the lowest amount of grain, which of course also means we have to have the camera shutter open for extended periods, sometimes multiple minutes, which is not an option that you have on most smartphones.
Right.
And that's what you ran into here, Ann.
Yeah, and I had a tripod, and I tried it out on a tripod, and I got the same effect. And so when I looked at it on my phone, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to edit this on my phone. I knew I needed to look at it on my computer with the nicer monitor. and put it in Lightroom, because I know Lightroom has a denoising option, as well as playing around with the luminance, and seems to help with cleaning up noise and grain, and did as best I could with it.
What do you think, Mike?
Well, no, it's not a bad shot. I know it's not doesn't get the drift of the challenge, but yeah, it's not bad. I personally, I don't like the dark blue. I wish the blue was a little bit lighter.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as everything else, it looks good. As I said, the only complaint I have is just your blue is just a little too dark. If it was just a little bit brighter, I mean lighter, it'd been a little better.
Mm-hmm.
But I know you're trying to hide a lot of the grain, and a lot of so many, as you say, so many of these smartphones, low light is not their specialty.
Well, I will say, to the effect of being a dark blue, in my heart and in my eyes, a dark blue is a cooler temperature.
That's
What
true.
I mean? This is a lighter blue. That's why I took it down, because no, it wasn't that dark, but I purposely took those blues down.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. I really do, and that's, I mean, like I say, it's a great effort. The thing that, and this is something that we alluded to, was it last week or was it 2 weeks ago? I think it was last week when we had Sweeney on. He was talking about your different styles of photography in terms of how people frame stuff.
Yeah.
And that also applies to other things, including what we know as sort of the documentary style of photography versus the artistic style of photography.
Yeah.
And neither is wrong, but they are very different. In that, for instance, I come from the documentary school, wherein I don't want my pictures to look artificial.
All right.
I want them to look like you could walk out of the monitor and into that spot and feel like you were there, not psychedelic and whatnot. Not that this is truly psychedelic, but radical color shift and whatnot, to me, takes away from that. But again, this is photography style and photography art and photography eye, for lack of a better term, and everyone's eye is different. So just because it's not how I would do it doesn't make it wrong. And I do like what you did here, and it is entirely possible, by the way, that you could have a blue light on a pool that would give this effect. So I'm willing to buy it, but I do know that it's heavily edited, so I'm okay with it. But it's just, again, it's not how I would have taken it, but I do like it. It's a good work.
What's your thoughts on how you would have taken it with those parameters in place right there? You were on that same rooftop, and you got the same parameters that I'm dealing with. What's your attempt at it?
I think,
because this is the kind of stuff that's going to help me and everybody else that's watching this.
Yeah, that's really difficult. I threw out a one-word response to somebody that was telling me I was doing crappy photos once, and the response was, and this was when I was first beginning as a photographer, I was way too defensive, thought I knew way more than I actually did. So they had a legitimate comment, but my comment to them was, tell you what, you stand beside or next to me when I go out on some of these crappy days, and you see the locations that I'm working with, and then you take the gear that I have and you try to do better.
Right.
And it was one of those things where that pretty much shut everybody up, because I mean, I was working with a $200 point and shoot digital camera at the time, and I'm in Maine. There are spots that are epically beautiful, but it isn't Montana with mountain ranges jutting up 3,000 feet and majestic peaks. So it wasn't. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm working with what I got here. If you want to complain, come stand next to me. We'll try it. Which is the same thing I would say if I was the person sitting in your shoes. In all honesty, I think I would have shot it completely differently, in that I probably would have tried to get tight in on the water, maybe trying to get some bubbles or something in a macro situation. I mean, like, as in getting the phone almost to the point where it was wet.
Of course.
Or getting in the pool and doing something with that. Because the other thing that Uh, it depends upon your gear. Again, some cameras do better in low light situations when the subject matter is close.
Right.
Some do better when the subject matter is further away. Yeah. I haven't used the Nexus enough yet to give you an honest answer on that, which way that would work. But I think I would have tried something real tight and close.
I like the fact that you said getting in closer and actually seeing bubbles. Again, that gives you the whole idea of temperature and, cool. So I dig that.
Yes. That's, I have to kind of agree with that. But if you gotten closer to it, it'd been a little bit better. It's not a bad shot as it is. It's just you've gotten a little bit closer and got a little bit further down. Get it close to the pool without getting it wet, unless you have a baggie or something to put it in that's keep it water resistant.
Never gonna happen with me, brother.
Hey, here's my $600 phone in my 2-cent Ziploc bag. No,
never gonna happen with me.
On the other end of the spectrum, this particular shot is not one of my better shots, I'll admit, but pull up my Moose Tracks ice cream there, would you? Now, on this one, I got the frost.
You did.
But I didn't have the depth of field to give you the full ice cream in the shot.
That's a pretty hard shot, though, Joe.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, you're trying to get the detail.
I would knock it. That's perfect. I would have knocked it. I like it because you're seeing the frost, you're seeing everything, you're seeing the ice cream melting a little bit. Perfect.
The original concept was to get it going into my mouth. And let me tell you something.
Oh, gosh.
I had no idea before I tried to do that how difficult that was going to be. Hold a smartphone in one hand, put another hand with a spoon in it, guess where your mouth is, guess where the camera is, have your mouth open, and do it all in front of an ice cream box that's no bigger than probably 6 inches by 8 inches.
This is why you got to get that tripod, brother.
I got a tripod. I got a mount for the smartphone. I still couldn't have pulled that off with a team of minions. It wouldn't have mattered.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
but what you got it right there is perfect. I wouldn't complain. That's perfect.
I personally think that's a very hard shot, just in general, because something's not gonna be able to be shown in full detail. You got the frost in great detail, but your ice cream, it's sort of smoothed out. And trust me, as someone that loves freaking ice cream and eats ice cream damn near every day, I know that ice cream spoonful has texture to it. Even though this has a little bit of it's softened and melted a little bit, there's still texture on the spoon that you're not able to see because of the focal point being back here. And that's a hard shot to pull off, in my opinion. I give you props for trying.
And I just voted for it.
Oh, well, thank you. A little late now, but all right. All right. So that's your opposite end of the spectrum. That's your tight in, close in shot, trying to work with that. And by the way, the downside of looking at that is it makes me hungry. Just sit here and stare at the ice cream, because I shot that literally. The ice cream was sitting right here on my desk in this very room. So I know that right where it is, I mean, right here. So,
yeah, I haven't had ice cream in a long, long time because the company that makes it has temporarily shut down.
There's only one company in the entire state.
There are other options for ice cream, brother.
Yeah.
I mean, we got like 4 here in the state of Maine, and we don't have the population you guys
do. The little creamery is hurting right now, but they're supposed to be back up within another month.
Oh, mercy.
All right. Mr. King, did you have a shot in mind that you wanted to look at in specifically?
Nah. Okay. If you saw mine, you just kind of get the idea of the temperatures.
Yeah, that was an interesting shot, I will admit. That's the water bottle and clock there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it went up 60 degrees after I got through.
I finally figured out what it was that I couldn't quite put my finger on it, why I didn't like this shot quite as much as I think I would have. It's the reflection on the clock face.
I didn't see that until I got it up.
Yeah, I don't know what you would have done about that except perhaps to move the whole rig.
I just had where I was doing it. I came home real quick and said, "Oh, I got to get some. I want to get something up." And I had a bottle of water, and it was all sweaty and everything. And I looked at my temperature and said, "Oh, crap."
Yeah, see, this one, it didn't do anything for me because I can't tell. I can tell how hot it is, but I can't tell how refreshing and cool this is. You know what I'm saying?
You can see the water dripping down the side. The spaghetti stuff is the water.
I can't really see it. It's not as sharp as I expected it to be with the iPhone 6, you know?
Mm. Yeah, I think that the two things that lose it for me on this is that it looks like the focus went for the numerals on the clock / thermometer.
Right.
It jammed in on that, and because the water bottle's in front of it, you had the same effect that I had with that box of ice cream, wherein the box of ice cream's in focus, but what's in front of it isn't.
Yeah, and I told it to focus on that, and I had it focus, and the minute I took the picture, the focal thing switched on me.
Oh yeah, yep. Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt.
Love it.
Let's see. Mr. Ant, something you found interesting.
Besides your shot, this one here from Annette Holland.
Mm-hmm.
I thought this one was a clever one because number one, yes, she's up close on it as a macro shot, and she clearly has the condensation that says this is a chilled fluid that I'm about to consume and enjoy. But the fact that she centered this thing up to show the word coffee.
Yep.
I thought that was a very, very cool artistic move because for me personally, whenever I hear coffee, I never think cold.
You always think hot. Right.
You know? But the fact that she was able to put this in that shot and to get it to show the condensation and show that it's just another chilled enjoyment for her, I give her a props on that.
Yep.
Very creative.
The only and if we look at my glass of water shot as a reference, the only thing that I would have done differently was to make it a little more obvious that you're looking at a small object in a greater space.
Yeah.
And doing that through the creative framing. Again, though, not everybody's smartphone has the ability to focus on a certain point, and trust me, I've learned that the hard way with my previous phone. So it's I'm not ragging on that shot. It's a very nice, very well done, and I like in her shot I like the contrasting of the colors, where you've got differences in color. Literally, the coffee's in one color, the actual coffee itself is in a different color. You've got ice cubes floating, and you've got the condensation. So yeah, that's a really good shot.
Yep.
Not taking anything away from her.
Definitely. But yeah, I like your shot. This is one of my favorites from you. Number one, because of how you have everything placed in it, with this being particularly far over on the left. The only difference I would have done is I would have just gone and just cropped that a little more to where you didn't have this edge here. I think it would have been a little curious, but I like the depth of field that you got going here with everything being blurred out in the background, and you sort of wonder where is he, and then I'm thinking, okay, that looks like that says Bud Light, so he's probably in a bar. You know, and then I'm thinking, all right, yeah, he's got to be in the bar because I don't know any other place that gives you these little coasters for your glasses except for some type of bar and grill. And the detail is just I love it, Joey. This looks really, really good. I can almost touch that and feel the chilled water on my fingertips right there, man. That's good stuff, bro.
I did feel it, and I have to tell you, I got to give props to Brewster's Fine Food and Drink for providing me with not only the glass of water, but the setting in which to shoot it, and also after the water, some very nice buffalo wings. Just saying, that's what I go to the bar for, is water and buffalo wings, because I need the water to drown out the buffalo sauce. But King, anything you want to say on this one? Anything you would have done different?
Not really. I like the way you got it. It looks quite cool, and I like you did meet the classification. You got up close. You can see the condensation and everything.
Now I see what you're doing there, Ant, and
Just playing around. Like I
yeah,
said, I didn't particularly care for this spot right here.
And I think the other side, if you would have also if you would have cropped down on the other side, I think I liked it a little better too. If you find a way to do your note cropping, Ant, and with a, all right, yeah, okay, come on, start coming till you get to kind of get close to the top of the very top of the bottle of the glass.
Right there.
Over further, go all the way to the tip on the very tip of the glass. Yeah.
I like the depth of field better.
Okay. Yeah, you probably back away a little. See right in there.
I like this. I like having it like right.
Okay.
about there.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, it got
Personally.
the way you did it. The way that looks, it looks a little. That would look a little better if you would had cropped it a little more, Joey.
well, this, by the way, is straight off the phone. No edits.
No
at
edits. No
Um,
edits.
None, zero, nada. I mean, that is literally you pull up the data on the phone, and there it is. And I didn't do anything to this.
It's good
So,
stuff.
And that's a little personal challenge that I try to do,
Of
which is
course.
to do as much with the phone on the phone as possible.
Mhm.
I don't always break it. Like the other shot I threw in, I completely totally broke that and just literally edited it on a PC. But
And that's an interesting discussion we've had in the past where
Oh yeah, Portis is
people
very
get
Portis
real
is very
passionate.
Portis is very passionate about that. No editing on desktop software.
But then even another argument is you shoot to not edit it. I've seen people
Right.
say that as if this whole purist thing, and hey, fine, more power to you. If your eye is that good and and you can command that much control over your smartphone camera, shoot, good on you. I can't demand that much control.
Uh-uh.
You know,
I can't either. I'd rather. And now that I can always, when I take a picture, I always say, that's good. Let's see if I can't make it a little bit better by editing, by doing some stuff in either some kind of editing software. And I see, if I try editing on the phone and I put it up, I said, oh, that looks like crap. Why didn't I not do like my initial feelings? Edit it on a big monitor so I can see everything, and then put it back on the phone. And because I like to go ahead. If it's a phone picture, I'd rather go ahead, get it back on the phone, and then upload it from the phone.
all right.
Well, I also think that we're kind of dancing around it, but there were a couple of really good, outstanding shots this week that I did not see coming based upon the wording in the challenge, and that would be not only the one that won, but one of the two that came in looks like second place. Do we have a two-way tie for second place?
I
with
think
seven?
the one I like a lot is that one with the black car with that waterfall or the
Yeah,
hydrant that blew up.
Yeah, that one
Yeah.
actually looks like it took second place in a
It is.
tie.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's
no,
three
we got a-
sevens.
There's
Yeah,
three
we got a
seven.
three-way tie for seven.
Mhm.
It's amazing. I sort these things every week by popularity, and the stars and the number of plus ones are never lined up. It's
They never
amazing.
do. I quit trying that. They never
Yeah.
do.
It's just frustrating.
Why don't you do all three sevens? All the sevens.
Yeah, but
Well,
the
we're gonna do all three.
All three. All three
No.
sevens.
well,
we'll
the
do
thing
all
is
three.
that two of the sevens are
Really
well,
good.
no, sorry, one of the sevens are basically the same. No, they aren't either. Never mind. I'm sorry. All right, let's take a look at the one with the hydrant and the black car first, if we could. Ant, top left. Thank you, sir. I like this. This is from I'm going to butcher this too. Al Kahif Muhammad. And what I like about it is that I was not expecting to see this. in this competition.
Right.
It has no macro to it at all, but it is definitely the personification of how one might stay cool in the city in the summer. It's
running into the water hydrant. That's what it looks like it happened.
Yep. It looks like this unfortunate person is getting a free car wash.
And flood.
Let's just hope that their door seals are good. Otherwise, they're going to come back to a. Why are the carpets wet, Margaret? I don't know.
How come the front bumper is all crushed in and the you got a flat tire?
There's a dent in the hood. What did you do, honey? Nothing, dear. Anyway, but
There it goes.
There it goes.
Yeah, I like the way it is. I like the way it's shot. I like what it's showing. If anything, I think I might have tightened up on the water a little bit more. In terms of, I think I might have cropped it coming in from the right a little bit. From the right. Yeah, give me about the B pillar.
About to the white pillar.
No, the B pillar right there.
Ah.
The B pillar on the car ant, which is the line between the passengers.
I see it now.
Right there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Sorry, using an automotive geek term. And then I think I also might have come in from the bottom.
That's what I was thinking. Definitely the bottom.
A little bit, yeah. Slide that to the left a little. I would have brought it down just a tweak.
Yeah, right there.
There you go. Yeah, right about there. And then the other side of that coin, what we were talking about, well, it's not really macro in any way. What if you'd gotten in real tight on like the roof of the car and shot the water droplets on the roof in the foreground with the water cascading up in the background, up from the hydrant or whatever this is, in the background, blurred.
Yeah, that would be a cool shot.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Also, if there's a driver in that car, he probably wouldn't want you to be taking his picture because it's like, you call me, I'm trying to find a way to get out of this mess.
Well, if you look, there isn't a driver, and I dare say that it's probably a parked car would be my guess. I would hope.
Definitely.
Well, then or I wonder what, or something caused that to go. Yeah, you're right. There is no one inside. Yeah. It must have been the water. Oh, you know what it could be? A water main broke.
No, this is something that they do with water hydrants. They test them for flow, and they oftentimes open them up in the winter. In the winter, so they ice up. No, they open them up in the summer to test the flow rates, and they also do it sometimes to just let people get a free sprinkler type of setup.
But yeah, flooding out a car.
I think it just happens to be there. There's probably a fire hydrant at the base of that water spout that we just can't see because of all the water coming out.
And he's illegally parked.
Or legally, and just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
You're not supposed to get too close to a fire hydrants.
Well, it might not be a fire hydrant either. It could be a hose. And by the way, this is in a foreign country too, so their rules may be different.
Right, that's true. And it could also have been a water main break.
Never know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Hey, let's take
whatever name is, let us know.
Yeah. Tell us the backstory on that one.
Yeah, please.
Muhammad, that we'd be interested to know more about what was happening, going on here, the story behind the picture. But why don't we go ahead and take a look at the winning shot here?
Or is the other 7 that number? Oh yeah, okay. And he's another multi-winner.
Yep. This is Chris. Help me out here. Selim. Is that how that's?
Seam.
Yeah. That's an I and an L. Sorry, Chris. And this is, again, one of those shots that I didn't expect to see. I was expecting to see, lots of shots of ice and macros and such. But I like it. This is probably the most creative shot in the entire competition. I'm glad it won. It's definitely, like I say, not something I was hoping to see. I would like to know what this is for my own purposes. Well, but specifically where and that kind of thing.
Well, I can tell you this much: he is in the Spokane, Washington area.
Right.
That I do know.
Okay. Yeah. What would you have done differently, Aunt Pruitt?
Let's see. With this shot,
You did get it slow down a lot, and you see a lot of water.
I like the fact that he's able to get the detail of this water, but I still would have put it in what you call it, Lightroom, maybe like Lightroom Mobile, and there's a setting in there for clarity that would sharpen this up just a touch more.
Oh yeah, that would have made a big difference.
Outside of that, I like what he did with it. I like the fact that he's shooting from below, or at least the perspective looks like he's shooting from the ground up, kind of thing, instead of straight on. I like that a lot, but I would have done something with the clarity, just a little touch on the clarity, not necessarily contrast, because if he bumped up the contrast, we would have lost this green back here. Would have lost that green, but the clarity would have really made those little water droplets look a little more detailed and crisp, in my opinion. Good stuff, Chris.
Yeah, I tell you another thing: if you could have slowed the shutter down a little bit and get more of or how you really get the droplets really showing up.
I don't know if you can slow the shutter down in this shot because of the sun here.
That's the big thing, yeah.
I mean, it would have screwed him up pretty bad.
But you're right. If you would have put it in like mobile Lightroom or something like that. And I think isn't there even in Snapseed, isn't there a clarity setting for that?
No, they don't have one in there yet.
Okay. But if you could have done something to kind of get the clarity up, it made those water droplets pop even more, made them more discreet.
Pixlr, the mobile photographer, offers clarity adjustments as well.
Okay.
Well, I gotta tell you, like I say, unexpected shot. I really do like it. Upon further, pun not intended, reflection, because there isn't any reflections. The only, I guess, quote unquote, problem that there is that there is that flare of the sun coming from the top center, and it is a bit distracting. Not very bad, not bad at all, not enough that I would have shot it significantly differently, but I do think that I might have cropped it differently, in that I might have tried to take out that lens flare on the top, and I don't know how that's going to look, Ant, so let's see if we can...
It's Abrams. It's an Abrams lens flare.
Yeah, and there's a reason why I don't like the Star Trek.
J.J. Abrams lens flare that he's noted for.
Yeah, and I hate that.
Get ready for it in Star Wars. There's a bunch of it I've seen.
There's another thing I won't be watching.
I don't know.
Bring it down a little bit more, Ant. Yeah, a little bit more. A little bit more.
That kind of takes away from that one where some of the water's coming out. But it might.
But then again...
I don't like that.
I like it.
I like being able to see the curve.
I like that. The lens flare really doesn't bother me that much.
Well, I didn't say it bothered me a whole lot. And I guess you could argue that if you take away the lens flare, then you take away this kind of ring look to it, which is very symmetrical and very an interesting structure. Yeah. And one that you don't see very often. Right. So I guess you could argue that either way. Oh God. I don't know what you could have done to get the lens flare out of there either.
Yeah, well, I mean, Joe, there's editors where you can go in and do a clone.
Oh, yeah, but I meant shoot it so that it wasn't in the frame.
Yeah, there's no way. No.
I don't think. Well, I'm sure it's possible, but it would have been one of those things where...
I mean, I can't speak for the shot,
Oh yeah. Well, I can't speak for you guys, but I oftentimes take these photos and with an idea in mind, but it's a very quick process from idea to execution, and oftentimes things like that. Oh geez, shoot! I left it in there. I didn't realize if I noticed it at the time, I might have moved the camera one way or another and tried to get rid of it. But sometimes you just can't. But I really like the shot. I really do. I'm impressed with it. I like how it stopped everything, and I just like water fountains. So
So that's our winner, huh?
That's our winner. So that means
Mr.
Chris has got to come up with our next challenge, please. I'm sure Ant will be reaching out to you here shortly and ping you with a reminder. But congratulations, you have won bragging rights.
Again?
Yep. And thank you to everybody that participated. We had 20 photos this week by 15 people. So
that's a lot. Good job,
yep.
y'all.
Yep. So we're really cooking, and I think I personally would like to see 100% participation one of these weeks. That would be just cool if we could get one shot from everybody in the group. That's what, 75 or so.
Yep. Somewhere in that area. Mm-hmm. I cut some people out here recently.
So
it's all about participation.
The ones we got now are pretty good. There's still a few that I haven't seen in a while, but I know some, like Deborah is very busy, and Tortoise is doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they check in with me though, so I give them the nod.
Well, I think it's one of those things where, I mean, we're all busy. We all got stuff we need to do. And sometimes I've noticed this. A lot of the photos that I have taken are on the Saturday or the Sunday following the challenge being issued. And I do that because it's in the forefront of my brain, and I oftentimes have the time, or I have a location that I can go to where I think I can get some creative stuff. And the rest of the week, I pretty much don't do anything with it. I shoot all of my photos on the first couple of days usually of the challenge.
For me, with the challenges, it's a luck of the draw as far as, number one, is it something that I can actually pull off? Because there's been challenges in the past where I knew my camera just wasn't physically capable of doing it. Just happens,
It does. It happens.
But then there's other times, like, I didn't get to shoot that shot until last night. Challenge ends today. Know.
Well, like mine, I had to do it today, yesterday, because a lot of times, even though I'm home on Thursday, I'm in and out, and with the power like it's been, I end up going back to the office, and I got real busy. If I don't find a day that I can just, okay, let me do it real quick if I can. Otherwise, Thursday night comes before you know it.
Yep, sure does. Sure does.
I agree there, no question. There's just some weeks when everything's just busy. But what do we have on the docket for discussion items? I don't really have a whole lot this week, except for that hot button item that Google Plus Photos seems to be getting killed off, and I guess that was news about 3 months ago, and for some reason it's news again.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. Back with Google I/O, they mentioned breaking out photos from Google Plus, and for most people that actually use Google Plus, they use it primarily because of the photo functionality. They like it better than what was offered inside of Facebook. They don't necessarily like Google Plus, but they like the photo sharing options inside of Google Plus more so than Facebook. Google has decided back in like April or so that it's time to just go ahead and split that off. They want social to be social. They want photos to be photos. And back when they had their developer conference, they announced photos for everybody. It's not just for Google Plus account holders. It's for everybody. And it's pretty much the same functionality other than some additional ease of sharing, additional ease of use. They touted having better sorting and organization for you, better searching, but it's had its issues, because I can go in there right now in the search area and search for, I don't know, Clemson, since I have on a Clemson t-shirt. It will not pull up anything when I know I have a gazillion photos from Clemson, South Carolina that has the geolocation on, But yet at the same time, that was part of their speech. That was part of their pitch. Hey, if you were out on so and so's party back in 2 years ago, just type that in, we'll pull it up. And it worked pretty well for most people. But I haven't been able to get any of that search stuff to work. But again, the big thing on it is just how you can actually organize and share it out to other places, like sharing it out to Twitter, sharing it out to Facebook. What I found is when I do a share to Twitter or what have you, you still get to keep the ownership of your photos. Because most of the time when you share to a social network, you have to upload it to said social network. And when you upload it there, you're basically agreeing to their terms of services that they can use that photo any freaking way that they feel like using it, even if it means monetizing off of your photo. With Google Photos, you can basically stick a link that links back to your Google Photos page. It doesn't put it on their servers. You know what I'm saying? It's been a big advantage.
Oh yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people don't think about. I run into this occasionally. Oh, I've got all my photos on Facebook. Wrong answer.
No.
No,
I'll put stuff
no,
up
no.
there, but I don't want to put stuff up there in the store because Facebook, when you look at the privacy, once you put it up there, you no longer own that photo. They do. They can do whatever they want with it. That's why I just put some certain things up, and I don't care.
Well, the other thing is that they also can compress it
Yes.
to share, to save their disk space and whatnot. I mean, if you think about it, if you were Facebook and you could do a 10% reduction in all of the images size that were uploaded to reduce your server footprint by 10%, you'd do it.
They're gonna do it. That's business.
Yeah, I mean, and most people, 10% isn't going to matter a tinker's dang because, I mean, most of the photos that go on Facebook never leave Facebook. They go on there, and people look at them and go, oh, look, there's my cute granddaughter. Oh, isn't that nice?
Right.
Swipe.
They don't print them out. Yeah.
And they don't print them out. They don't do anything with them, and it's just on the screen. So, 72 dots per inch and, 1200 by 1600 resolution is probably overkill for most people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So there's no reason why they can't go on there and degrade the photo quality. So I try to encourage everyone, and this is just my little PSA, everyone, in my opinion, in 2015, there is no reason that you should not have some sort of cloud, full resolution backup for your digital life.
Indeed.
There is no reason. If you don't have one, you either don't know how, which you need some instruction, or you're wicked too cheap. But you got to think there are services out there, and I won't mention names because this isn't a commercial for my computer repair business. But you can get services to upload everything for dollars a month, pennies a day. And if you figure how much work you have involved in taking these photos, I mean, let's take an example. And that photo that you took, between taking the photo, processing the photo, how much time do you figure you got invested in that one image?
Oh man, what, just 2 hours at max, if even an hour maybe. That's it.
Okay, but that's 1 hour per photo.
Yeah.
Okay, so say you take 100 images a month. That's 100 hours of labor.
Yeah.
What is that worth to you? If you're doing 100 hours a month, that's 1,200 hours a year.
Yeah.
What is
and
it
I
worth
lose
to
one
you?
of them, I'm pretty pissed.
Exactly. So what is it worth to keep all that? So, like I say, PSA, everybody should have some sort of a digital backup for their digital life.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what do you got, Mike?
Which brings up mine. Flickr Pro has come out for Flickr users, and if you have a paid account, one of the services is full quality backups. You can upload a terabyte of photos, and they don't mind, and they're in full quality.
What does that cost a year, and how is it implemented?
Okay, it's $49 a year, and it's only they just stay there until you decide to stop it. Then it comes to the free thing, but it's It's free storage, and it's
And it's ad
$50 a year,
free.
and
Yeah,
it's
ad
ad free.
free.
There are no ads. You have the unlimited storage, cloud storage, at full, like raw type thing, and and it gives you like a for both Mac and PC, a uploader app that will allow you to upload to Flickr just like Google Photos does.
Okay.
Let me kind of
By the
I
way,
show you that. Let me share my screen. Uh, Hopefully this will work. Desktop.
free tip along that same line. For those of you, and I know that this is not the target audience
Yeah,
for
there we go.
this, because we're talking about people that obviously use Google. But if you have an Amazon Prime account, you
Yeah.
get a
Mhm.
Amazon cloud storage backup for your
Yeah.
photos. The
Here's
downside
Mhm.
is that it doesn't do everything. It just does the photos for unlimited for free, part of your
Sure.
Prime membership.
Okay, here's the uploader for the Flickr. You can see on my page.
Yep.
Mhm.
And it works. I did a bunch of stuff, and these are also are private. No one can get to them unless when you share it, they'll just give you a link to that one photo or the group of photos that you have, because these are all done. Let me go and get out of my. Oh yes, I want to quit. Thank you.
For a minute there, we had Ant in stereo.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I don't think the world's ready for that though.
Yeah. Yes, we have not solved human cloning here on Point and Shoot and Smartphone Hangout.
Right.
But yeah, so that's your free tip from me. Free any photos, and I believe I got to double check on this, but I think Amazon will allow you to upload your RAW files too.
Mm-hmm.
For free to their Amazon service, but it's only the photos. So your music library, documents, that sort of thing, those don't get uploaded for free. You have to pay for that.
Right.
But hey, it's included in your Prime membership. If you're already a Prime member, there's no reason not to take advantage of it. For me personally, I have another backup service, and I have multiple local backups. And I've got Prime, and now I've got the Google Photos that I'm using as well.
I do the
So
same thing. And now I got Flickr. I'm going to put some of my stuff on. I got almost terabyte full of photos, and a lot of it is raw, and it will take all that, and a lot of it is from my now what it does on the Mac, you have to have it in your. It will not take it from Lightroom. You have to use another plugin for Lightroom to get it to go up there. But takes it from your iPhoto or now Photos app on the Mac.
Before we get out of here, I'd like to mention that 2 photo editing apps for mobile have recently updated, as in like within this week. First off, you have Lightroom Mobile, went through and had some updates. And again, Lightroom Mobile is only for people that are Creative Cloud subscribers.
Okay.
You can get a free trial for 30 days if you're interested, because the Adobe Creative Cloud has several different levels of pricing for you. You can get some as low as $10 a month, I believe, for just the photo
$10 a
package.
month.
You know,
Yeah, $10 a month for what they call it, the photographer's special.
Yep.
and
Which
it
is
all the way up to like $50 a month or
right,
something like
for
that.
the
So
entire version. But if you're just a photographer, the $10 a month will give you Lightroom and Photoshop, and it's the full Photoshop CC,
right.
and the Lightroom is Lightroom CC, which is really Lightroom 6.
Right. And with the mobile application, originally I had my issues with it when it finally came to Android. It was pretty dadgum clunky, but it has gotten better with its last 2 updates. I'm looking at the what's new in this current update. It says, let's see, edit images faster by copying image adjustments and pasting them onto another photo. That sounds interesting. Cropping has been changed. I did not like the cropping feature before. I always thought that was a little wonky. Your cropping was more like pinching to zoom instead of sliding a bracket over left or right or up or down. You almost had to pinch to zoom to set up your cropping. It was a little weird.
Now that you mentioned that, the first time I tried Snapseed, I had that exact same feeling that it was this weird, and I fought with it a little bit and eventually got it figured out, but it didn't seem quite as intuitive
Yeah,
as it should have been.
And they definitely made some changes on that too. Definitely with Snapseed, that is. But yeah, that was with Lightroom. Now, as far as Snapseed, they added an addition, well, an enhancement to their brush tool. I've talked about that on here before, and I want to say I even did a video about the brush tool on there, where you can go into your image and say you have to fine tune something in the background or what have you. You can pinch and zoom on your screen and pick up the brush tool inside of it and do a little fine tuning by, whether it's changing exposure levels or changing saturation levels. Now they made that to where you can get even closer with it. Because I had a shot that we shared a couple weeks ago, and I had the saturation adjusted for one particular area, but I couldn't adjust it in another area because it was too small. It was too fine of an area. Now, supposedly, I can get in there and do that, even though I tried it with the pinch and zoom tool that had already existed. Supposedly, this is even better now, and I can get in even tighter and even closer. And that's with Snapseed for both Android and iOS.
Mm-hmm.
A free app, by the way.
Yeah, and very useful for a free app. That, to me, that squeaks or squawks of Picasa on mobile. It feels very similar to that. It feels like something that I use because I use Picasa on the PC to organize and do light editing and whatnot. And quite frankly, Snapseed feels like that. It feels like you can do maybe 90% of what you would ever need to do in that, and then that other 10% you need to go to something else.
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get out of here, anybody else want to bring anything else up?
I think that we got it all.
All right. What about you, Ant?
That's it, my man. Oh, well, damn it, I just thought of something.
Uh-oh.
That's dangerous when you think of something.
Oh man, I had a gripe.
I'm sorry. This wasn't going to be like one of those iPad launches or something where you just say, "Oh, one more thing."
No, brother, come on, man.
Dang. I wanted to see you in a black turtleneck and jeans.
Well, it's no longer black turtleneck. It's now not a black turtleneck. It's a blue shirt with the tail out and glasses. Yeah, both of them. At least he doesn't wear a hot pink one like Eddie Q does.
Anyway, I had a beef here recently with Google Photos. You can see my screen here. I took a long exposure shot out the other day, and of course I threw it to all my different backup sources, and one of them is Google Photos. But when I looked at it in Google Photos, it came out like this here, and it pissed me off because I knew this one here.
Ooh, it looks horrible.
It pissed me off because I was like, you know what? That is not how I processed that shot. This is how I processed the shot. This is the shot looking at it through Windows Explorer. This is looking at it through Google Photos.
That looks like crap.
And so my concern was, what is happening? Is there something going on with the browser or whatever? So I put it in Google Drive, and I looked at it on my smartphone, and it looked the exact same way as this one. It was a really poor quality. So I also dropped it into my Lightroom Creative Cloud Sync, and I looked at it through the Cloud Sync on my mobile phone, and it looked this way. I said, okay, so it's right. So I said, it has to be Google. Well, not really. It's not necessarily Google. What it is the color formatting when you do your export. I was using Adobe's standard instead of using the sRGB, because I wanted to maximize my photos. I wanted to maximize the color quality on these things. I spend a lot of time on it. I want to do the best I can, and when I share it out. But as Sweeney and several other people I've talked to online about it, the web and most monitors today, they're not ready for that type of quality. So Google doesn't bother trying to handle it. They just do what they do from their own compression rate, and boom, this is what you get. So when I set it up as sRGB and exported it and put it into Google, it came out just like this, much better. So be careful for people using the editors. Check your settings. We already know that you're going to be subject to compression when you use cloud services. It depends on what you pay for and what you don't pay for, because not everybody compresses. They do give you an option for full resolution, as Mr. Kelly said previously. But yeah, that's just another thing to take a look at, is look at your color setup when you do your exports.
Yep. That goes into a larger discussion, which we'll not touch on too hard here, but a lot of what we consider to be standards are not actually standards. They're formats that people have put out, and there's what we call a de facto standard, which is basically just what everybody's done and what everybody's using.
Yeah.
And if you go into production and image printing and whatnot, if it is an Adobe, it doesn't count. Basically, they're the de facto standard for processing and printing. So your sRGB photo process would be fine if you were taking it to most print shops. However, it is not truly a standard. It is a variant of a standard that Adobe pushes. So it is not truly a standard. So you do have to be careful. I mean, the nice part about your digital life is that you can copy it and back it up in its entirety. The downside is that you do need to be somewhat aware that you need to keep your formatting consistent and whatnot. This also, by the way, enters into if you start shooting in RAW on either a smartphone or a digital SLR, you're going to see that there are wide differences in RAW support between different editors. If you have a brand new camera, oftentimes your photo program will not be able to import images because they've changed the RAW format, which is, not the same as your standardized formats. So anyway, that's a whole nother hangout for a whole nother time. Mr. Ant Pruitt, where do we find you online?
Well, my man, if you're doing the whole Twitterverse thing, you can go over there and look for ant_Pruitt, as it says right about there. And you can also just, go to Google and just search for Ant Pruitt. I'm the large, bald-headed black dude that pops up on your screen.
Yeah, because there's only one large bald-headed black dude, on the entire face of the planet. Anyway, who bears no resemblance to Mr. T. None. No. Zero. No. Anyway, or the African American version of Mr. Clean. Anyway, anywho. All right. So now that I've offended everybody in this one podcast, I'm doing real good. Bail me out here, Mr. King. Where do we find you online?
I can be found anywhere: Flickr, Google Plus, Yahoo. Not Yahoo. Twitter, Facebook at Michael King 4023. And no, if Ant shaved his head and didn't have a beard, he definitely would be the black version of Mr. Clean.
Just saying, we should buy him an earring for Christmas.
Yeah, that would finish it up. That would
get him to shave.
No.
That would be no. Okay. What about a plastic earring that we just get a picture of you once?
Even still.
No, not happening. No? Okay. Well, I'm just saying, I keep quotes from people so that when I go to their funerals, I can do a funny eulogy of stuff that they actually said. So, that would be the picture that I bring. Anyway, so for myself, you can find me at Joey, Joey Kelly, KELLEY.com. That is my landing page, and from there you'll get linked out to half a dozen other places. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Google+. You can find me pretty much anywhere on the internet. But on behalf of myself, Mr. Michael King, Mr. Ant Pruitt, we'd like to thank you for watching the Smartphone Photographers Hangout, and we'll see you all next week on Point and Shoot. Have a good week.
Thanks, everyone.